Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Sorry about the delay, 16 minutes delay. Well, we have Emmanuel here. Hello there. Let me get these things straightened out a little bit. I'm trying a new tea today. It's green tea, organic, with pomegranate in it. So I'm going to try to see what it is. So who do we have here again? Emmanuel is here. This is 1/3, one of three. So we come to that question right away. Let me say hello to everyone. Paranay is here. Says, hey Mehran, 17, male, India. Hi there. And we have Hatter, says male, 17, UK. Says, hi Mehran, I hope your day is going well. My question is, well, okay, we get to the questions. And Slobodan is here. Hello, 21, Belgrade. And Hanane has joined us as a member. Thank you very much for that, Hanane. Says, hi Mehran, greetings from Florida. Greetings to you as well, dear. Good to hear from you. Hope all is well. And what was it we spoke about a few weeks ago, didn't we? So looks to me, if I'm late about 15 minutes, we lose half the audience. And Reno is here. Reno Gaetano says hello to everyone. Hello there. Stig, 28, Denmark. Oh, that's a new. It's first time for you here, isn't it? Oh, am I mistaken? So I kind of recognize names. I don't believe we saw your name here before. Stig 28 Denmark. And what about gender? Let us know, everyone who's here, Reno, you too, and everyone, remind us age, gender, and where you're tuning in from. So in Hanana, I know she's a lady, and I know she's from Florida, but age is not there. Reno, nothing is there. Stig, gender is missing. So let's go to the question while you guys will give us that. There are 13 people here and one like. I mean, 12 people don't like. Is that what it is? Stig says male, 28 Denmark. Thank you for that. Stig says, I've been here before 3 years ago. Ah, really? Well then, 3 years ago, that's 2017. We had just started the live talks. We started live talks 2016, so it was just a year into it. We're still doing it on Facebook, I guess. I still didn't know how to, my system, we're not up to it. So Emmanuel has the first question, says, don't you think that it is the mind that produces thoughts instead of the brain? No, it's not, because it's a material process. Brain doesn't reach mind. Brain is brain, mind is mind. They're two different things. Brain is material process. But mind is actually a lot more to us that the brain can imagine or reach. That's why those videos that talks about Dr. Penfield's work, Dr. Sperry's work, Dr. Leibotz's work, Dr. Owen's work, they all prove scientifically through neuroscience that there are aspects of you that brain cannot reach. And therefore, it tells you you're far beyond the brain. Brain is a tool. Brain is not you. So that would set the record straight for you. All right, you're talking about things that, because you call it impossible because you haven't looked at those videos and you haven't looked into the neuroscience. So once you check those videos a little bit closer, and they'll help you to see that. You say, how can something material produce something immaterial? What are you talking about? You're talking about thoughts? It's neurons. Your ability to speak and think is due to the actions and things material process. So, feelings and so on. Emotions. Thought is also an emotion. An emotion can be manipulated through parts of the brain. When the neurosurgeons in neuroscience, they probe the brain, and they can cause emotions. Some parts cause pain when they're pushing some parts of the brain. They can have, by manipulating part of it, you can raise your hand, or you can even see a light if they're manipulating the occipital lobe in the back of your head. So anyhow, you watch those videos and it'll become a little bit more clear. Okay, I guess you're just giving me your thesis, Emmanuel. We're not going to go through your thesis. Look for the scientific facts rather than your own. Well, you seem to have missed the whole video. You're talking redundancy on the video. You're talking about dualism. That whole video is about dualism, but you haven't watched it. So go watch that. Are you or the brain is the you? And then you will see what we have said in there. What you're trying to explain, as I understand it, is what's already been explained in that video. So check that out. And then the whole video is talking about proving that you're beyond brain. And I don't understand if you're trying to tell me that you are the brain or you understand what the video says without having watched the video, or have you watched it? I thought you did. And you actually made a comment on it that you understood it. What side of the bed have you, gotten up this time? Emmanuel, what's wrong with you today? What are you talking about? The whole video was made for dualism, that materialists have been defeated because of these researches. And you're now saying the same thing. So, anyhow, let's move on to Hatter says, male 17 UK says, hi Miran, I hope your day is better. My question is, why does my brain sexualize males? And how do I stop sexualizing male? Well, you see, it's not sexualizing male, because again, I just made a video called Groinal Response. You got to watch that. All those questions are there. If you guys don't watch those videos and just come here with questions when the answers have already been provided, then we are wasting our time. You're not going to get anywhere because you're not paying attention to the whole explanation of how the brain works. You're not sexualizing male. Anything that sexually relevant, the brain can have a reaction to it, because you're tuned in your identity in big part toward your sexuality. As I mentioned before, you can see a doorknob and have a sexual connotation, to find a sexual connotation to it. You can find an animal, anything beautiful, a flower can give you a sexual emotion. Depends on what it is. So anything sexually relevant. So for example, you look at the flower, you can remember it, or you can think of a date and compare it to the beauty of a woman, or whatever your inclination is. And then that would be sexualized. So it's when you see a man, you're not sexualizing the man. The man is sexually relevant as a woman, as anything in this world that lives such as a horse or dog, the emotion, the smile, everything can have sexual connotation. But that doesn't mean because your brain associates that with sexuality, doesn't mean you're interested in that particular thing that has a sexual relevance, such as a male, such as a dog, such as a horse, such as a tree. It just has a sexual relevance. That's what you're reacting to. Watch my video, A Growing Null Response explains. You will get to know what these responses are. It's nothing to do with your interest. It's just the way that the body works, and it's not reacting to what you are not. What your inclination is not. Is just reacting to the concept of sex, which that thing brings about connection with the concept of sex. So that's what you're actually connecting with. Slobodan says hello. Okay, I've got that. Slobodan says, how are you, mate? Thank you very much. Reno says, yes, I started following you about a month ago. Oh, okay, wonderful. And Hanane says, 32 female, says, and yes, we spoke a few weeks ago, and everything is going good thanks to you. Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for sharing that. And Reno says, glad to have discovered your channel. Well, thank you for that. If you guys are really glad about discovering this channel, promote it, please. Talk about it on your social media, share the videos that you like. I've always put that 1 minute and 47-second video that tells about the live talks, tells about the what this channel is all about. Help us to be known. You see, right now should have had, I don't know, 1,400 people, not 14, but we have 1,400, because most of you enjoy the channel, and I appreciate that, but you don't promote it. We are lost in the sea of YouTube. We need to be present here and there by association, by videos, by sharing, by talking about it. So I hope that you guys will help this channel to grow. Sean Holloway says, 16 male UK. So how do I get feelings for girls back? You don't have to try. Just be friends, live your life, focus on what your life is all about, what your goals are, what you want to accomplish. These feelings will come back by itself because your gender doesn't go anywhere. All these interruptions or distractions all have these psychological and malfunctioning in the signaling system of the brain having to do with it. And therefore, if you realize that and let the thoughts be and don't fuss with the thoughts and don't get upset about them, just, so many people talk nonsense all day long and we endure it. We just switch off and go about. We hear them, we recognize it's them, so we say, oh, it's nonsense, so we go on. But if every time you stop and think about what they say, what they mean, why they say that and all that, then you're wasting your life and you become too involved with something that is irrelevant to you. Now, instead of other people saying, your brain is saying all these things. So, same thing. Ignore it, go about your business, and just don't fuss with it. Don't try to find out why it's here, why it showed up. None of that. It's thoughts. Why it showed up, why it's here, why it's created, what does it mean, or nothing. Just nonsense. And that's what the brain does. And Stig A says, question. The fear of being alone versus staying with someone. Pros and cons. Well, if you have a fear of being alone, that fear doesn't let you actually see things clear, what you want, because you're all trying to protect yourself from that fear. But you are that fear. That fear is created because you're comparing, what if I am alone? what happens? Well, first understand what does alone mean, then you would not have a fear from it, because you're never alone. We're all one. All this energy that passes through us, all animals, trees, and humans, is all energy and it's all connected. So we are really never alone. Maybe you're looking at yourself compartmentally, then you think, oh, this is my box, that's another. It's not separated. It's just separated for you to distinguish. But otherwise, the energy flow is the same. Trees give life, and we use and we enjoy their contribution to our lives. And without them, what about that? Don't you feel alone if there are no trees? So how about if there would be no trees, but you're living with someone? Then you wouldn't be alone. You would still feel alone because there are no other plants, no other animals, and you feel the lack of their presence in your life. But if they are there, whether they're outside of your home, you don't have to have a tree here, that's an energy. But it's outside, you know they exist. And you have a connection with the plants and trees and other life forms, even though you're not in close proximity to them. Same thing, you got to think about the same thing. If you're not living with someone, well, but they're here, so you're still connected, even though you're not in close proximity to them. You can't feel alone just because another person look like you or same species is not in the same house with you. They're doing their own thing. We're all connected in energy, so we're never alone. We're one with the nature. Everything nature has, we're one with it. So we're really never alone. Now, if you get bored not knowing what to do with yourself, that's a different story. You know, find out things you love to do. And you don't have to live with someone not to be alone. You can have friends and associates and socializing. Of course, right now, socializing is a challenge, but you know, so it depends on what you're looking at and how you see your life. Is it limited to this one person? So what are you going to do if this person, God forbid, you know, moves away or dies or breaks up with you? Then you're going to be alone. So you're dependent, your loneliness is dependent on outside elements. You got to be able to not be lonely or feel alone when you are by yourself, by understanding your connection to life. And then it doesn't matter if you're living with someone or not, if you're in a relationship or not, you won't feel alone because you know how the rhythm of life is, and you are living with that rhythm of nature, not with that particular person's mechanical process, you know, living style or activities. So it's not about pros and cons, it's about becoming in peace with one yourself and understanding your connection with the universe, not feel alone. Then you will choose your relationship as long as it works. If it doesn't, okay, you'll have a little bit of a sadness or feelings and emotion, but then you get over it because you know there are other opportunities. You're never alone. It's not limited to this person being with you or not. That's not the definition of being alone or not being alone. And Hatter says the most annoying thing is I do not get aroused at men at all. I hope that's not what you say. It's annoying. But my brain is trying to tell me I like it. Well, your brain is not you. You see that your whole problem, Hatter, and problem of most people in HOCD, is that they are focusing and paying attention to thoughts and they're trying to interpret it rather than leaving it meaningless and leaving it as something uttered or somebody uttered and not paying attention to it. You see, you have to focus on the fact that brain is separate from you. Thoughts are not you. They're made by brain, and brain is not you. It's been proven scientifically and philosophically. So if you focus on that, then what the brain conjures up, brings to your attention or suggests or images or whatever, or tells you, you wouldn't take it into consideration because it's the brain. It's like somebody else telling you what you like. But they're so powerful because, you know, I don't know, they're your boss boss or they pay your way or they're your employer, and you feel like, oh, what they say must be true. No, it's not true. It's what they're saying is coming from their brain, and it's got nothing to do with you. Your brain is also the same. Your brain is not you. What's coming from it, it's its thoughts, not your thoughts. When you use the apparatus of the brain to create thoughts, that's your thoughts based on what you need to accomplish and design or resolve or learn or whatever. But what brain suggests is unbeknown to you, suddenly pops up and suddenly suggests, and it's doing its own thing. It's like you've shut the machine off, but the engine is still running and it's still producing. That factory is still producing, but not producing the ingredients that you're feeding it. The assembly line is just producing whatever is being thrown in it. So it's producing those products out of garbage, out of nonsense, out of whatever, shrubs, whatever gets into that machine, it makes it into that product. So whatever gets in that brain, the brain is constantly doing this and making thoughts. But those thoughts are irrelevant to you. They're brain's thought, not your thought. You're treating them as if they're your thoughts. That's the problem. Hatter says, how do I stop sexual images coming into my brain? Why do you want to stop it? Let it be. Don't pay attention to it. Just, they're there, you see them, but say, okay, I know what they are. They're images. I'm not interested. And, it's very exhausting with these images. Don't let go. And they're obnoxious. Depending on what your gender is, what your interest and inclination is, some things are obnoxious to you, some things are not. We're talking about your case. And when these sort of thoughts show up, they're very annoying, especially that they don't stop. It's like a stuck sound syndrome, SSS. When you have a music in your head, a jingle, constantly looping, you can't get rid of it no matter what you do. It's a glitch in the signaling system. It's a hallucination of sound. You don't want that sound to continue, especially if something that you're not in favor of. But it's there because it's got into a groove, into a glitch, like the old record players, which you guys probably don't know what it is. It was a little vinyl disc putting on something and another turning disc, turntable, so to speak, and then they put a needle on it, special arm that had a needle. That needle would read the grooves in the vinyl, and then the music was playing. That's how it was before DVDs and CDs and all that. And sometimes it would get stuck, so keep running over the same tone. La 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 until you push the edge of that needle, that handle, that arm, move it a little bit further, and it goes la 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 la. It continues the music. But it gets stuck, and the brain also gets stuck in the stuck sound syndrome. Every one of you have experienced that, I'm sure. But that's not what you wanted to happen. It's there, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to now say, oh, because it's there, it must have a message. I must like it. Not necessarily, but it's there. So you understand that. Well, when it comes to some sexual images or things that you're also not interested, and it annoys you, it's obscene to you, you think, oh, it must mean something. No, it's the same shit, same malfunction, same family type of malfunction in the brain. So don't try to make sense out of these images or suggestions. They're very annoying. I know, I had them. And it was like, and then I tried to destroy, and that was many years ago. They tried to destroy them, stop them, burn them, bomb them, and bury them. And I tried many kinds, and then eventually I used to go and help it out and go to the extreme end of the imagination of that topic, that strain of thoughts, as ridiculous or as obnoxious or stressful or obscene as it was. I helped it. I made it more of it. I imagined to the ends of it, as bad as it was. Sometimes it would be image of like something against my father, like some sexual things or some sexual things about, I don't know, whatever. It could come to your head and you start thinking, what the hell is that? And you're trying to destroy it because it's so obscene and so unacceptable to you. Because it's not you. It's a malfunction of the brain. We sometimes think that the reason that you sometimes allow these thoughts continue and you actually go with it is because you think if you go with it, first of all, it means you're not fearful, you're not scaredy cat, that you're brave. So you go through that. I'm not scared of you. That's your attitude. Secondly, you think that if you go through whatever possibility it could be as far as the thought manufacturing, you want to go through and help it to complete as much bad images and this train of thought could go, because you think at the end of the exhaustion of all possible disgusting thoughts that could be made, there is a stop button. You think when you finish that, then you've seen everything that the brain could have put out. You've allowed it to put out, to flow with this whole bullshit of it, because you feel when I exhaust all these possible images that could be made and help it to be made, then it will die eventually because there's no more to be made. All tangents have been imagined. I did that too. That was a bit helpful. And then eventually, after a while, because I kept dealing with it, then I said, it's disgusting and it's obscene and it's not, obviously it's not my interest. That's why I'm trying to destroy it. But then after a while, you just simply said, I don't pay attention to nonsense. Okay, it's there. Or fuck, it's there. Then because you said it's there and you weren't fussing with it, you weren't trying to have any, because I never tried to bring any meaning to or any connection to my life about it. I just simply noticed and dubbed it bad thoughts, disgusting thoughts. That's it. That was my opinion about it. And because I've already said it as what it is, and I knew what it is, it's some kind of a glitch, some kind of a bad thought, annoying, disturbing. Because that was the label on it, it was all clear for me that, okay, don't spend your time anymore on it. It's there. Okay, let it be. Do your life. Do your things. And I attended to all my duties and, things that I had to do in life, normal life, my work and everything else. And because I was focusing on my life and have labeled this as unwanted, disgusting, not interested, then eventually it saw no attention from me to the thought. The thought was starved from energy of my attention, and it died. It didn't show up as often. It didn't show up because I wasn't playing with it. I wasn't concerned with it anymore. I just let it, okay, it's a bad thought, it's a glitch, it's a malfunction. I recognized it without having any of these knowledges. That was many, many years ago. The fact is that you know your core principles and your values, and you got to gauge everything that you don't like and shows up in your head against your values. And when you see it doesn't live up to your values, it doesn't line up with your values, you simply see that this is intrusive thoughts. This is not equal or even in line of my principles. It's meaningless to me. It's disturbing. Therefore, why should I pay attention? It's like you're walking about and some people are cussing or fighting or doing some shit that you're not interested in. What do? You pass by. You recognize what's happening and you recognize what the name of that behavior is. And you know that, you're not part of it, you're not interested in it. Then you move on. Same thing here is happening in your brain. You see it, you label it as bad thoughts, not interested, meaningless to you, doesn't live up to your values. You know what your values are, you know, your core principles, your superconsciousness has your values, sacred values. Dr. Schwartz calls it wise advocate. Dr. Phillipson calls it gatekeeper. These are what your real values are, your identity, your sexual inclination, what you're interested, your manners, your morals, your faith, if you have one. All of that is in your core principles. That's what your values are. And these thoughts that show up, you gauge them against your values. They don't measure up, let them be. You don't have to destroy them. You don't have to get rid of them. You don't have to bomb them. You just let them be and know what they are, that they don't measure up. They're not part of your values. You're not interested. But you recognize it's a glitch in the brain. It's something that exists as part of its production of the brain, function of the brain. Like other people do some shit in the world, it's there, but you're not part of it and you're not interested. So you walk by, but you notice it. Same thing, you notice it, you label it as what it is, obnoxious, obscene, unwanted, and you go on. Focus on your life. And eventually that lack of attention to this whole thing kills them, destroys them. They see no benefit to it because you don't get engaged. You just call them for what they are. Bad thoughts. To you, you know, different people have different bad thoughts. Anyhow, any of these intrusive thoughts, regardless of your gender, it's opposite of what you are. So therefore, to you, it's bad thoughts. All right. Let's see. So another thing that I want to talk to you guys about is about what I suggested to you, the ones who want to have a Zoom, is for me to show them something that I have done that helps to clean the head beyond special meditations and misugis that cleans out the head. My understanding and my way of dealing with or suggesting to to myself and whoever wants to try it, you're welcome. Some people have tried it, they've seen, yeah, it could work, but you got to create this. Look, every house that has been robbed, usually there's nobody in it. It's dark, there's no light on, there's no living being in it, there's no dog living in it, present there, there's no member of the family there, there's no light on, there's no activity in that house. So the thief finds a dark, secluded, some house that nobody's in it, everybody's out doing things. Then because there's no activity in the house, there's no brightness, there's no light, there's no activity, there's no person, there's no living being in there, there's no guard, in other words, then the thief gets in there and tries to do whatever they do. A mouse gets into a place when there's no light, when there's no activity, where there's no nobody else is there, right? These are the times that somebody can be intrusion, be an intruder somewhere that they're not invited. They don't go there when there's activity, there's other people, there's a dog, or there's a light switch on, light bulb on in the house. They stay away from that because they see there's a presence, there's a witness there. Well, if you notice every time that you look into your brain, when you want to look for a thought, you look up, you look inside your head. So if the thought shows up, you see it here, just because we've been conditioned to think that this is where the thoughts are. So that's when we look, we kind of pay attention to what's up here. And then we see images that we don't like, or whatever it is. That's how you look at it. And usually when you look up, it's dark. And that darkness and not being in it leaves the field open for the brain to produce images and thoughts. Remember, the brain cannot have two images at the same time. You cannot see two images at the same time. There's one image. And that image is there because the screen of the brain is empty. You can book it and, project your movie on it. It's like, it's a screen that thoughts are being projected on it. It's like a movie theater screen. But the screen is empty, so the thought is projected there. But there's only one thought at a time. One image at a time. There are not two images at the same time in the brain. So, when your brain is busy with some image, there's no other image has a chance to come in until you create a new image and replace this image with that image. Otherwise, this one, whatever it is, cannot have a chance to show itself because it's already, the cinema, the theater, the screen is booked, is being busy, is showing some movie. So you got to take that off, put another one in, right? So usually when the brain is busy, you're doing something, images show up less because you're, let's say, designing something, and they interfere, but they're out because your focus is on some creation. So the whole point of it is that when you try to look for a thought, you usually look up, and when you look up, it's empty. When it's empty, it gives a chance to intruder, brain, to project its image or its thoughts or ideas because it's empty. It's like the empty house, nobody there, the thief goes in. That's what they attack. So what if there's somebody in the house and the light is on? Suddenly it deters. It's like a fort that, old forts in the Viking times and the Western times, that there's a big door and on top of it there's a soldier walking. As long as there's a soldier, even one soldier, walking, the attackers or the intruders or the enemy won't show up easily. They will behave because, there's a guard there. But when there's nobody there, that's their chance. They assume, nobody there, we can attack. But if you've noticed, just imagine when there's a presence of a guard, somebody walking on that edge of the whole, whatever the fort is, and it's visible, it deters others to come in, like the light being on in a house, and the thieves won't show up. The mouse won't get in. So if you already have something, the same thing works. If you already have something in your mind, other images don't get a chance. So and every time you look up into your brain, it's empty. And if you want to look up for a thought that showed up, you look up. You find it here. That's how we kind of do it. So what if there's always a guard in your brain? In quantum physics experiment that I showed you, I made a video on that experiment, which was about, they had an electron gun shooting to the wall electrons. Between the gun and the wall, they put a steel plate and a slit in the steel plate. So the electron had to pass through the slit, because they couldn't pass through the steel plate, pass through the slit and then make the impression in the back wall. So when they did that, they noticed that, there's one line on the wall. These electrons have gone through the steel plate's slit and put an impression of one line. But when they put two slits on the same steel plate, the electrons were fired, and you assume there's one slit, there was one line on the wall's impressions, and then there's two slits, so there must be two lines in the wall as impressions of the electrons being fired up towards the wall. But no, there was two slits, but now there were not two lines, there were like 20 lines. So scientists wondered, what's going on here? One slit, one line, and two slits, 20 lines? This is not a wave experiment, because they had done a different experiment by waves and they overlapped, so they had many reference points on the wall, but this was just two slits and straight shoot of the electrons through those steel plate slits. So they said, we want to, if you've watched the video, you probably know it. If you haven't, here it is. So the scientist says, we want to peek. We want to peek to see what's going on in this apparatus that we have created, and it's behaving this way. It shouldn't be 20 lines. So they say we want to peek. So for peeking, they put an observer. They brought an instrument that would measure what's happening in that experimental box that they were having. But this measuring device was not part of the experience, was not part of the apparatus that would make this experience happen. This was an observer, an instrument to measure, totally outside of this whole experiment, not part of this experiment. When they did that, and then they started the experience again, sure enough, they were surprised. Suddenly, all electrons behaved. There were no longer 20 lines, there were only 2 lines, just as it was supposed to be. Why? It's like the children are busy and making fuss and playing around and being naughty in the classroom and running around so on, but as soon as the teacher shows up, everybody sits in the chair and behaves, because there is a observer now. There is a principal there. There is a witness, and they want to be at their best behavior. So they stop misbehaving. Same thing happened with the electrons. As soon as the observer, the measuring device, was put there in the quantum world, the whole experience changed into behaving properly as they should. The electrons were not making 20 impressions on the wall. There were just 2 because there were 2 slots, and that was it. Very proper. Why? Only because someone was watching. The fact of being aware of something happening changes the happening. And this instrument was the one that was watching, measuring, witnessing, observing. Therefore, it caused the whole behavior of the electrons change, just like those kids behaved properly. Now, the same thing. Once you, right now, right this moment, and we are talking, I want you to do this experiment. I don't know how you imagine the landscape of your brain. If you imagine your brain looks like rooms or nooks and crannies, I don't know what it is that you imagine about it, how you imagine that landscape to be. But I want you to look and do you think it's all neurons? You think it's all little rooms where the thoughts are being born? So I want you to search into your brain right now. Just look into your brain, however you look at, however you imagine your brain is. Just look into those rooms, compartments under the rocks or nooks and crannies or neurons, or however it is. Just look and search for a thought being born, a thought being created. Just look into all those rooms, compartments, however you imagine your brain is. Keep looking. While you're looking, actively you're looking to find a thought anywhere in the brain, you can see there's no thoughts. You can't find a thought being born, being made. While you keep looking for it, while you're observing it, you're witnessing to any birth of a thought, while you're looking, searching for it, you can't find any. That's the quantum physics. Why? Because you are now observing the behavior of the brain. And because you are not the brain, you are not part of the brain, just like the measuring device, the instrument was not part of the apparatus of doing that quantum physics experiment. It was outside of that. You are outside of the brain. You're not part of the brain. You're not the brain. Brain is not you. Because you're outside of the brain, you're not related to the brain in that way. You're not part of it. The brain sees you as an observer, meaning the brain knows it's not you, and you are the boss, you're the teacher, you're the principal. It behaves. It doesn't make any thoughts. No intrusive thoughts, no other thoughts. Nothing. Just sits while you're looking at it, while you're looking for it, searching for it, because you become the observer in the quantum physics world. So when that happens, that means the observer, you watching for a thought, caused the thought shut down. Not even be there. Behaved as it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be right there until you call upon the brain and say, do this for me, and they'll do it. Not by itself go and do stuff, create shit, and distract you, because you're observing, you're watching it. So when you're observing it, it shuts down. So what if you create an image a simple image, a powerful but calming image, a encouraging but a protective image, such as image of a campfire, a nice flame on the campfire, like these. You know how you make a bunch of logs put in the shape of teepee, you know, like a triangle. You put those logs and there's a fire. Imagine they're a bunch of nice logs put together like a triangle, like you see in the movies in the camp, and there's a nice fire out of it. No crackling sound, no heat, no nothing, but the image of it is moving. This is constantly this nice, wonderful, reassuring fire is just there. It's alive. It's there. Just imagine that in your head. No crackling, no noise, no heat, no nothing. It's just life, energy in the form of this campfire. Nicely organized and just there. So every time you look up, you see that campfire. Which means pretty much the house is not clear. There's somebody there. There's a light. There's a witness. There is an observer. The brain takes a hold of that. After a while, it becomes your default position. And brain stops making intrusive thoughts because it says somebody's watching. Just like right now you watched it and it didn't show up. So you create that kind of a flag, that kind of a presence, that kind of a flame, that kind of a campfire. No noise, no heat, just there. Your energy. The power of life is there, moving, and you can see it there. So every time you look up, you see that. It's not empty in your head anymore. And because it's there, its presence, it's subconsciously you will always have it there by default. Even if you're not aware of it, it's there. And every time a thought shows up or something intrusive, you just look up, you see that campfire, everything else disappears. It doesn't get a chance because there is a guard there walking on the fort. There's a dog there. There's a guard there. There's a witness there. There's an observer, your campfire. So as soon as there's an intrusive thought, you look up, there's a campfire. It disappears. So try that and let me know how it works for you. And after a while, it becomes a default position up there. Every time you look up in your head, it's not empty anymore. And because it's not empty, there's a presence of life there, that what you created, then no other image gets a chance to project itself. No thought gets a chance to be created there because there is some action. There is happening there. There's a witness. Someone's at home. Someone's watching. And that watcher, which you just did, becomes that campfire. It's always there. So the intrusive thoughts won't have a chance. There's no empty theater for them to present their picture. So try that and see how it works for you. And I hope you will get the same results as many others and myself got. And then after a while, it's not an empty place for garbage to show up. It's always very organized and got things to do there, even though it's just relaxing, nothing, very relaxing, but it's there. It's like you're sitting beside your pool and resting and enjoying, but the thieves can't come in because there's someone at the house, even though you're not doing anything, but you're there, relaxed. All right, same thing with that campfire in your head. Try that, and let's see how it works. All right, now, that was a big discussion on that question. Let's see, what else do we have here? Mm-hmm. Not bad. Not bad. Aman is here, 19, male, India. Aman, I've got a ton of videos on that signaling system, uncoded nucleus. I don't know if you guys just come to live stream or you also check the videos. Watch the videos. Find them. There are two playlists. Intrusive, transient, OCD, HOCD, negative thoughts is one. Talks about how thought is born and all that, so on, and interpretation of all these, all kind of thing in there. But when you get over that interpretation and you understand that there's no need to interpret any thoughts, doesn't matter the topic, they're all nonsense, then you go to the next playlist, Intrusive, OCD, HOCD short videos. They're not short, but they're there. Their topic is separation between brain, thoughts, and you. That's where the answer is. A combination of the two playlists will get you the information that you want, and that would be perhaps something you should look into. Again, remember, the best thing to do is to talk to your psychologist, psychotherapists, as I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychotherapist. I have no claim to have any medical credentials. These are my research, these are my experiences, these are what I have come up with by research through philosophers, ponderers in the, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, and plus using the advanced neuroscience experiences by different doctors that have reflected their work on some of the videos, and the combination of the delivery plus my own, research into it and experiences is what I present here. So if you need to speak to your doctor, please make an appointment with them and see what he or she will guide you, and that would be the way to go. There are many of the experts links of Dr. Philipson, Dr. Jan Weiner, Dr. Schwartz, and many other therapists and so on that I put the link under my videos that you can reach out, or any of your choices of doctors, because these are just my knowledge about experts. Otherwise, I have no arrangement with any of them for any kind of referral or anything. It's just what I think they're great scientists, and I've put the links for you to explore yourself and watch their videos or reach out to them, whatnot. All right. And OCD says, hi, I'm around 27, male, Bosniak. Can our sexuality change? No. Your sexuality is made in the wombs of your mother when there was no thought or brain developed or have a possibility to think or talk. It's all in your genes and chromosomes, and how it was, your inclination was already cast in stone in your mother's womb. So that's how it's going to be now. What role your brain is going to play in distracting you and confusing you and creating all these, the science has tried to explain the role of caudate nucleus, malfunctioning signaling system, and the mental unclarity and intrusions and intrusive thoughts and OCD and HOCD and so on, which you can educate yourself and understand that. You have not seen, if this was supposed to be changing, for example, let's have a little short talk on that. If gender was supposed to be changing, so that would mean what? It changes from one to another through life, and what says that then it won't change back again? If it can change from this to this, then when it has changed from this to this, it can also change this back to this, and it can change this to something else. So where is the stability finally, and how many times is it going to happen in life? And then what happens to the whole idea of genders and whatnot, if that's supposed to change? Why is it that we never hear the other one changing to this one? Because if this one changes to that, then if for example, if a heterosexual changes to homosexual, then homosexual should also change to heterosexual. I mean, it can be one way, only this changes to this, but this doesn't change to that. So if that's the case, how many times in lifetime this thing gonna happen? We change from here to certain many years, then we change to this, and then certain many years pass and they change to this, or then tomorrow this changes. It doesn't make sense. It's supposed to have a mandate. An acorn doesn't become an ocean or a mountain, it becomes an oak tree. It has a mandate, it has a prescription, it has a genetic code, and based on that, it lives its life. It produces and becomes what it's supposed to become. Everyone has that mandate, that program. Then, if that's the case, how come trees don't change to dogs, or don't change to stone, or don't change to oceans? Only our genes are so unstable? If that's something that can happen, then it should happen to everything. Heterosexual to homosexual, homosexual to heterosexual, and so on and so forth, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and the trees into stones and the mountains into... It's just so fucked up that you shouldn't allow this to even go on in your imagination, because it's bullshit. You got to deal with the mental health. These are all mental stuff. Otherwise, you're born heterosexual, you're going to be heterosexual all your life. You're born homosexual, you're homosexual all your life. It's not like a game. Oh, today it was hot, so I feel a different gender. Oh, today it was cold. Oh, I'm in here now. That is the malfunction of this. You're born as this, you're this. You're born the other, you're the other. You're born the other, the other. There's so many genders now have been recognized, so therefore, whatever you're born, you're there. That's how it's going to be. The rest of it is your lack of understanding how to deal with this, because this malfunctions. This is only 40,000 years old. You are, in fact, over millions of years old. This is new, so it still has lots of glitches and malfunctions. That's why you need to educate yourself and understand that your questions about your gender is not that your genes and chromosomes and so on is changing. No, your outlook, your thoughts, your mentality about it is being challenged through malfunctionings of the signaling system and whatever else the psychologists, psychotherapists, and science of neuroscience and others have now brought your attention to it. All right. And stop interpreting it. Just you're looking for certainty. Just don't look for certainty. A thought of something comes into your head. Oh, that guy is good looking. Oh, he's good looking. Yeah, so what? But doesn't mean you want to be in a relationship with the guy. Many things are good looking. Thought shows up. Something sexual, something this. Anything sexually relevant causes thought of sexual behavior or whatever is good for you, but it can, something else could trigger that you're not interested in that something else, but that something else has a sexual relevant in this life and associates the thoughts to sexuality that makes your body react. But you're not reacting to that person or that thing that triggered it. You're reacting to the whole concept of sex that your system understands and reacts to it, which I've explained it in the groinal response, which was used quite a bit of the work and the article that was written by the author, which I don't remember her name, but I've mentioned it clearly there, and you can. She's a therapist in California, Calabasas, I believe, Quinlan, a lady called Quinlan. First name, I don't remember. Yeah. So anyhow, watch that movie and you have the links there in case all these people that you may want to reach. Okay. So what happened? Don't we have any more questions about relationships and all that? We are all talking about OCD and HOCD. What happened to the people who are interested in other topics that we can talk about? There it is. Reno says, "What would you suggest to do if I miss a person that doesn't seem to be friend with me anymore? I mean, how far is it right to insist?" Don't insist at all, Reno. If the person is not interested to be friend with you, why should you be interested in someone who's not interested in you? Why should you miss someone who doesn't miss you? I can understand if it's your dog, because the dog will always miss you, so you can miss the dog naturally, because the default is that the dog is missing you. But when you're having a relationship or a friendship with a human being, you can clearly tell if that friend or that person that you were just friend or you were in a relationship, however the relationship was, is missing you or not, from their behavior, from their attention, from their interaction. And if they're not interested in being friend with you or being in a relationship with you, why would you want to be? The number one rule for any successful relationship is if the two people actually want to be friends or two people actually want to be in a relationship. If the woman doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, why would you want to be in a relationship with a woman who doesn't want to be with you? Why? The number one criteria for any relationship to work is if that she also wants to be associating with you as you want to be associating with her. If she doesn't, why should you? I mean, isn't that supposed to be the criteria for, isn't it? So, guys, I'd like to take a break and make a call. I'll be right back in 5 minutes. I missed the call that I was waiting for. Okay, just one moment, please. Okay. Okay, guys, sorry to keep waiting. I guess I missed that call. I will have to end our discussion shortly and then get on with that, what needed to be paid attention to. So let's see who we have here. We have, who says there's a male 27 Boston says, I still have false, I think, for males. I don't work. So about it. Why it happens? Well, there's no why. It's because of malfunction. There's no. All right. Dawn says, hello, my love. Hello, darling. How are you? Said, good to catch you live. Hope all is well. I'm feeling like the ODD one out. Is it boys' night? Am I the only female here tonight? Yeah, looks like we don't have many females here at all, actually. You're right. What's going on? And Stephen says, Steve 48, male, Ireland. Hello, Steve. How are you, dear? Says, is the brain creates thoughts? If the brain creates thoughts, are those thoughts also created our moods? Definitely. How do we counter our moods better? Well, you need to get yourself out of that anxiety or depression or the low mood, because a thought brings a feeling, an emotion, and thought itself is an emotion, but it also contributes to a different emotion, and that sets the tone for your mood and all that. So you need to get out of that rot. And sometimes the easiest way is what the psychotherapists sometimes, when they give up on a patient that they've tried many different things and the medicine and all that, then they give electric shock. And a simple, personal, such a jolt to get you out of that mode is using your parafacial nuclei system of breathing. There are two systems of breathing. One is pre-Butzinger complex, which is your normal breathing. Or deep or short, just your normal daily breathing. And then parafacial nuclei system is the system that you can actually manipulate this involuntarily system of breathing and make it voluntarily. In other words, instead of normal breathing of up and down, you can put it like when you're crying or laughing and go, you can do that. So to use this secondary system of breathing, parafacial nuclei, you use double breathe in, like not once, two. The moment that you do two breathing instead of one, and then hold a bit and then release, suddenly you see your mood change. Why? Because you cut into the rhythm of the thinking that was keeping you down, and it's like kind of jolted you out, like that electric shock, jolted you out of the groove that you've been making. I think it was Dr. Feldman, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was talking about that when you keep ruminating in the same thing, it's like you're walking on a soft ground, and as you keep circling and walking, you're digging into it, and you create a groove, and that groove makes it more difficult for you to get out of it and get on with being on the regular road and do your things. And that groove is when you bring yourself into a lower mood by keep thinking about those things. So you want to jolt yourself to give yourself a window of good feeling and good energy, and not that bad mood energy and low mood energy. Get you out of that, give you enough window of good feeling to get involved and active in other things, sports or things that you like to do, which creates more, more of a new energy, more of a new interest, and it kicks you out of that rot that you've been creating by walking around and by thinking and bringing your mood down. So by doing this, parafacial nuclei systems manipulation of breathing 2 times. You can see brain quickly clears. There's nothing in there. When it clears, there's nothing holding you back to get out of that groove and get on with some energy and get on involved with some sports activity, things that you like to do, positive things, and bring that, energy and propel that energy more and more and change your mood by having changed your thought, giving it a jolt to get out of that rut that was keeping you there. Hope that works for you. Stephen, male 40, Los Angeles, says, Jeffrey is here, says, how does one deal with dreaming of their ex-girlfriend? Doesn't enjoy it. I had one and it threw off my whole day. No, why? Enjoy it. The thing is, because you want to have it permanently, that what throws you off. But if you just enjoy it, oh, that was a lovely dream of the girl I used to know. That's cool. But yet still understand that it's broken up. We're not going to be together. We're not together. And I don't want to be with her because she doesn't want to be with me. That's the end of it. But enjoy that moment. Just take joy and don't try to turn joy into pleasure, which it's an attempt to make it permanent. And therefore, you just enjoy for what it was, the joy, the dream. Wonderful. But then because of the dream, now you say, oh, I want more of it. I want it more. And then I want to make it permanent. And that's where the pain comes. Because you haven't learned to enjoy the joys of life. You want to make every joy a permanent situation. And that's where the sorrow and suffering starts. When you try to turn something temporary to permanent, then the suffering starts. Enjoy it for what it is and let it be. So you dreamed of your girlfriend. Well, how wonderful. What a good, feeling. And then remind yourself of how things went, that it wasn't good. And then you say, well, okay, I focus on the actuality of her as she is now, how she treats me now, how our relationship ended, on what note, rather than thinking about all the good things that the memory likes to think about. That's fine. Enjoy that. But then bring yourself to reality by focusing on her actuality today. Then you will see, okay, the dream was fine, but that's the extent of it. I don't want any more of that. And Steven says, so many people have left my job this past month. Most of my friends, including the girl I was recently dating, I caught myself constantly thinking of the past and how good it was 6 months ago. Yeah, okay, so good it was, so what? Okay, but things change. Things like this are not permanent, and you should know that. You should go into a relationship knowing that it might not be permanent. Pretty much nothing in this life, as far as the longevity and all the jobs or the fortune or this and that, so forth, it's not always permanent, oscillates up and down. So expecting certainty is what ruins your mood. Just navigate. You go to an ocean, there's no guarantee it's going to be no tsunami, no waves, no rain, no storm. It could be some smooth sailing, could be some rough sailing. You got to be a good captain. You can't stop the winds from blowing. You can't stop the waves from flowing, but you can become a good, experienced captain to help keep the balance of your boat from capsizing. That's what should be permanent, not the conditions of what you're actually surfing on. You can't control that, but you can rely on your experience and understanding to manage and bring balance to what it is that life throws at you. That's what you should be focusing on. And that's what control is. If you're trying to gain control by controlling the elements and things, it's going to be disaster. It never works. You got to be able to become a good captain to help you balance of your boat from capsizing. That's control. And Atif says, hello, 38 male, New York. Nice to see you. Hello, Atif. Good to see you. And Lucky Ducky Daisy Flower. My goodness. That deserves a sip of tea. Okay. Lucky Ducky Daisy Flower says, I feel like I'm having a heart. What do you mean? My lover is here. We are getting engaged. Why am I so anxious? Hard to stand up. I get dizzy. It's gray, bright day. Well, first of all, if your lover is there, make sure that you're well taken care of. If you need to go to a hospital or a doctor, do it. But if you're just using these words to explain how you feel rather than how you actually medically feel, then okay. In that way, I can talk to you about it. Otherwise, if you need some immediate attention, then go get that attention from, medical staff that probably is available nearby. She says it's like I have everything I wanted for so long and I feel awful. That's because you're afraid of losing it. You got everything you want, and now the anxiety is setting in. What if I lose this that I just got and I really love it? Stop focusing on losing it and start focusing on, I'm here now. In this moment, nothing threatens me. I'm here and everything is the way I want it to be. That's all. Stop. You're trying to, again, bring certainty and permanence to what it is that you got, and not letting yourself enjoy what you've achieved, what it is happening. And instead you're focusing on turning a joyful moment or incident or time, a period, into permanent. So you're worried about making it permanent. And that is unknown, and that's where the anxiety lives. Bring yourself back to the now, to the present moment. Enjoy what's happening and be one with what's happening rather than be outside of it in the future, hoping that from here to the future would have still been as it is right now. Don't worry about that. That's none of your business, and nobody can guarantee that. But what you can guarantee is to enjoy fully, joyfully, now, what is happening. Then your anxiety will go away because there is no threat in the immediate moment. And that's where you should be, in the moment. And every moment is a moment. So it's not like every time if you're in the moment, the present moment, then that very moment is so small that there's no threat in it. So joy, 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 rather than, I want to make sure that this joy will be lasting for the next 50 years. And because I don't know the answer, then I'm going to be anxious for that 50 years. That's how you're ruining this whole experience. Don't. It's only now. I mean, I don't know if I live tomorrow. Maybe I die tomorrow. So why don't I just focus on today right now? Tomorrow we'll focus on, again, today, because it is always today. It's not tomorrow. It's always today. All right. Hatta says, can my HOCD have started of my... Don't worry about how it started or whatnot. Just focus on what I've said rather than focusing on how you're interpreting this. Leave it. Don't give a shit. Emmanuel says, thanks for previous answer, Marion. You're quite welcome. Steven says, Mail 48 Island, I've just bought your 3 books, Marion. I'm looking forward to starting to read. Oh, wonderful. The ebook, I believe, yeah? And so hopefully you had a okay download. If you guys go on my site and click on books to take it to buy it in print, of course you will get the physical version. But if you get it on ebook and you have a problem with the link, it doesn't download or anything, it could be a different browser or different system, don't panic. Send me an email and I'll email them to you as part of the email. That's easy to do. So. And also remember, on site mind@seekstruth.com, mind@seekstruth.com, you can always go there and make an appointment to have a one-on-one Skype consultation with me on topics that concerns you. And for anyone who makes an appointment for 1 hour, I'll throw in another hour. We'll have 2 hours at the beginning in that same session for the new clients. And that would be plenty of time to get to know each other and get to know the issues that's concerning you one-on-one on Skype. And we go to Emmanuel says, I have another question. Guys, unfortunately today I don't have any more time. I gotta go. A bunch of things I gotta do. Let me see. So why would we learn about the ego? I understand. Why should we learn about the ego? I understand that it is, but I don't know what. I understand what it is, but I don't know what I should get out of it. Thank you in advance. So that's a conversation for next time. Don says, it's my birthday again tomorrow. Lol, they come around way too quick. Well, happy birthday, Don, dear. Wish you a wonderful day. And it's nighttime there in UK, I guess, or a wonderful evening. I hope we had a wonderful day. And I'm sure everybody else wishes you happy birthday as well. And hope this year would be a better year than last year, I guess, for everyone. Especially for you. Scary Clip says, sir, I always get homosexual intrusive thoughts when I try to fantasy about women. Yeah, that's HOCD. Don't worry about it. Just push through. Keep enjoying what you're imagining with the woman, and that's what you like. That's where your inclination is. And don't worry about putting everything away and keeping everything the way you want it before you can enjoy that. It's like you are with your girlfriend in somewhere in the woods, and you guys are enjoying yourself and become excited and would like to, you know, have a little bit of a hanky-panky, and then you lay on the ground, you see, oh, there are all kind of garbage in the ground and all the, I don't know, shit, but you can't hold yourself. So you will, what do? You ignore everything else that is around, just focus on each other, right? Even though there's garbage and shit in the ground, you just can't, just focus, keep your focus on what it is that, you know, that you guys are there to do, and you will automatically ignore all that other junk and debris and things that you're there. You won't focus on that, you focus on the other things. So the same thing, shit and garbage and things that you're not interested in comes to your mind, while you're trying to fantasize with the woman that you like, well then just push through and keep it there and enjoy yourself, and then go on about your business. And then eventually lack of attention to these intrusive thoughts will get them the message that, hey, there's no buyer here, nobody's interested here, and they will decline. And then your behavior through neuroplasticity rewires your brain bit by bit. Okay, guys, it looks like we've answered all the questions as much as we could. We didn't have a big crowd here today anyhow, but it's time for me to go. I love you all. Look forward to talk to you. Maybe tonight, 9 o'clock, I have another Skype, streaming? Not Skype, YouTube live streaming. And if not tonight, then next week, 1 p.m. Saturday and 9 p.m. Saturday. Hopefully, if nothing urgent happens, I'll be here. I look forward to talking to you again. Love you all. Thank you very much for being here, giving me the opportunity to share a thing or two with you. In the meantime, be good to yourself and to the others. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.